Deciding on last names when it comes to kids, marriages, and what have you can be a tricky process in some cases. But in today's story, Opie and their partner find themselves at a really tough crossroads with this conundrum. G'day there guys, it's your main man Markee, and welcome back to another episode of r/AmITheA. Now, if you love today's bloody good content, I want you to sit back, relax, chuck a prawn to the barbie, and get ready for some good stories. Let's go. Am I the asshole for insisting on my wife having my last name? I love her. I will marry her. But I don't feel okay about her keeping another man's last name instead of mine. Her reason why is that she wants to have the same last name as her two kids, but that doesn't make a lot of sense since we're planning to have children of our own. When I asked her about our future children's last names, she said we can just hyphenate the two when the time comes. I'm honestly not comfortable with this. It's not hate against her ex. He was never a jerk to me or anything, but I don't want my wife and kids to have his name. I knew what I was signing up for when I started to date her. She made crystal clear her children come first, and one of the things that she wanted me to have in mind is that we are not making a new family. We are merging two. Her dad was pretty absent in her life, and apparently he was wonderful to his new family, so I understand the trauma and I know how important it is to keep all of her children as a unit, but as her spouse, I'll honestly feel out of this unity. We had many serious discussions before deciding to get married, and we agreed with pretty much everything. But until recently, the last name thing hasn't come up. It was probably not as important as us agreeing on having children, where to live, step-parenting dynamics, etc., but this is the first thing she's not willing to discuss. I always had a great communication with her about anything, but for this one issue, her position is, it is decided, no discussion. We've been together for 2 years. She's never positioned herself like this before. Am I the asshole for not accepting this? Edit. I think it's more important to point out that she also wants children with this name. Many children have both parents' last names hyphenated, but the fact my children would get this name from an ex is what bothers me. Edit 2. My wife won't hyphenate her last name because she doesn't want a last name her kids don't have, even if she keeps the one they have. She doesn't want me, her, and our future children to have my last name while the two don't. I tried that. Hard no. OP has offered the following explanation for why they think they might be the asshole. I know this is based on what is a trauma for her, and I'm afraid I might be in the wrong for not accepting. Now in the comments, FKAlex12 says, "You're the asshole. You say it has nothing to do with the ex, but going against her wishes simply because you don't want another man's name on your kids doesn't sound like an actual reason, but rather a one-sided cockfight between you and her ex. Question. Wouldn't the father then need to approve changing the two older kids' names to include OP's name? The kids will never match the way OP's future wife wants. Things don't add up in this post. I don't believe they're changing the older kids' names. Wife plus older kid will continue to have their dad's name, and any new children born from the marriage with OP will have hyphenated names, which will be a mix between the wife/older kid's name and OP's. I thought the wife was going to hyphenate as well. Now I'm even more confused. OP's wife wants their hypothetical kids to one day have a hyphenated last name of the one from her first marriage and OP's last name. It's not even her maiden name. I can understand him not wanting the name of someone that's not related or involved attached to any future children. Her name, whether it's her maiden name or one she gained from marriage, is her name. It doesn't belong to her ex, and it's not his name. It's hers. And while I think her reasons are perfectly valid and reasonable, that doesn't matter. Her name, her choice. You're the asshole. It's her putting her children's needs before your needs, as any parent should do. If she doesn't want to take your name, she doesn't take your name. If the unity thing is such a big deal to you, take her name so that you and all of the kids will have the same one. That has nothing to do with the ex where the name came from, but with your wife and kids who have the name now. Our next post is by user GFThrowArray34, titled, Am I the asshole for leaving my girlfriend at the bar after what she did? So my, male 30, girlfriend, female 25, lost her job recently, and she's been going out drinking a lot because of it. She would get heavily drunk and would need me to come pick her up at odd hours when I'm working or sleeping. By the way, I hate going to bars, and one of the reasons is that I'm a recovering alcoholic. No shame in saying it. I'm proud to say that I've been sober for 16 months. Not easy, but I was able to achieve this goal. It's still hard being exposed to alcohol, but I do my best to suck it up and be there for my girlfriend to take her home safe. Last night, she called me at 1 a.m., telling me she drank too much and wanted me to come pick her up and take her home. I drove to the bar she was at and saw her sitting at the counter. I told her it was time to go, but she suddenly started acting weird, yelling and telling me to get away from her, and that she didn't know who I was. I told her to stop it, but she kept insisting I wasn't her real boyfriend she was waiting for, and that I needed to step away. The bartender noticed and asked if there was a problem. My girlfriend told him to kick me out, but I explained I was her boyfriend, and she just kept denying and then laughing. The bartender didn't believe me and told me to leave. Things got heated, I walked out for a few minutes and then back inside to tell her we needed to go. She started laughing, then got a guy who looked like a bouncer involved, telling him I was bothering her and she didn't know who I was. The guy sternly said, "Hey man, you need to leave or I'll call the cops," after I gave my ID and identification that belonged to me and my girlfriend. He got loud and insisted. I threw my hands in the air and said, "Okay, fine, I'm leaving. I'm going home without you, Katie." She kept laughing, and I got into my car and left, feeling pissed AF. An hour later, one of her friends got her home, and she didn't even seem that drunk. She was mad, asking why I left her at the bar. I was puzzled, and I reminded her of what happened, and she stopped me, saying she knew and was aware, but pulled this as a prank to get a reaction out of me. I was dumbfounded. She said she was joking and didn't expect I'd actually leave, and thought I was waiting for her outside of my car. She even said that she couldn't believe I left her there with no way home. I argued this was her fault for how she behaved, and she kept saying it was a prank and I shouldn't have taken it seriously. She ranted about how unbelievable I was, and how poorly I reacted to a joke. She's still arguing about it, blaming me for leaving. I get she's going through hard times and wants to chill a little, but I thought her behavior was not okay. We've been together for 5 years. This is the first time she's done something like this, and I thought she may not be thinking rationally due to her struggle with losing her job. By the way, she's not a heavy drinker, but after losing her job, she started drinking often. Though she never brings any alcohol home, I still have to deal with the smell and such. That is not normal behavior, OP. That is scary behavior. I don't know why you're putting up with it. I get that you're conflicted currently, and there may be a lot of emotional barriers being like, well, she's not normally like this. It's been 5 years with her. She's never acted like this before. And I agree with you there. Maybe this is a one-time thing. Maybe she was just having a prank, bro. It's just a prank, bro. Don't worry, bro. Or there is something genuinely going wrong with her, and this is a slippery slope. I don't know, maybe it's none of those things. But if she doesn't genuinely apologize for this, and show that she's genuinely going to change from here on out, and that she's remorseful for those actions, that's enough for me to walk out of that relationship if I were you. You're not the asshole for what you've done. That's self-preservation. She didn't want to be taken home, and she pulled this stupid prank on you. That's her fault that she got herself into that situation. I'm gonna go not the asshole. Now in the comments, OKImage6174 says, "Not the asshole. She got the bouncer involved. That is more than just a prank. I would leave her totally, not just at the bar. Yeah, this is serious. This is a pretty tough thing to forgive, if it is worth forgiving. It's worth forgiving if she makes an honest apology. That hasn't happened, and she doubled down when sober. OP, state your boundary and stick to it. If she's unwilling to recognize her own actions and how they cause discomfort to you, be willing to recognize that your relationship may be over. Not the asshole." Edit to add, this is coming from an alcoholic in recovery who has had to make amends for some pretty serious behavior and missteps. What I didn't do was double down to tell someone that I didn't cause hurt for them. Man, you are so much more forgiving than I. This is pretty messed up. Especially the gaslighting, etc., after the fact of blaming him and telling him he's basically being too sensitive about a serious incident that could have easily turned violent or had the police involved. No thanks, no excuse. Not the asshole. Wake the hell up and dump her before her psychotic need to see you pathetically grovel to do her a favor to boost her ego gets you relapsing or killed. Not the asshole. OP has worked so hard on their sobriety. They should be so proud. Their girlfriend just doesn't get it. Not the asshole. Maybe get a better girlfriend? This could have easily gone wrong and gotten you arrested. Or much worse, OP, run like hell. She may get you hurt or killed doing crap like that. Our next post is by user SpecialistBother91, titled, Am I the asshole for giving all 3 kids a present for graduation? So I have 3 kids, Raymondo, Jonabella, and Ren. Raymondo graduated in May from college, and Jonabella about a week ago from a decent community college. This was a big occasion for them, so my husband and I decided to get both graduates an iPad and a $100 Visa card. I know it isn't much, but it's been tight since the pandemic hit, and they both understand this. I don't really think an iPad and a Visa card is tight, but I guess we come from 2 separate families here. However, I really felt like Ren ought to have something too, just for being such a trooper. He's so much younger than them, getting to watch them have all these achievements that are still so far off for him, and I wanted him to know I noticed and appreciated it. So I went ahead and bought him an iPad, as well as a new Switch and a couple of games, since he's much younger and might not have much use for a Visa card. I did the gifts at the graduation party since I figured family and friends would like to watch. Everything was good, until close to the end of the party, when Jonabella cornered me, asking why I would shower Ren in new electronics when he isn't even graduating. I told her it can be hard to grow up in a sibling's shadow. I'd know, as I have 3 myself, and I gave him the presents not for graduating, but for being a good kid all through the graduation festivities. I told her it's a lot to get through as a kid, and I wanted Ren to know it didn't go unnoticed. Jonabella said the sentiment was fine, but why did I get him bigger gifts than either graduate? I said I just wanted to get presents everyone would like, and that I was trying to be conscious because again, the pandemic really took a hit for us. She said, why don't you just tell me that you have a favorite, and stormed off. Now, I don't have a favorite, or want Jonabella to think there is. She's barely said anything to me since then, and when she does, it's frosty. She says she doesn't have anything to say to me until I apologize for prioritizing my baby over her. My husband thinks that she should be more understanding because she hasn't had the same experience and can't speak from it. And I don't want to return the gifts because Ren has been overjoyed with both, and I'm glad to see him happy. But I'm really wondering if I was out of line here, just trying to please everyone. Yeah, I truly do think you were out of line here trying to please everyone. If the gift stopped at just the iPad, that probably would have been fair, because you're just trying to show some compassion, he gets something the same as them, but the others get the Visa card on top of that. But you decided to throw a Switch in and do it in front of everyone, including the 2 that are graduating, just to make it seem fair to this kid? Do you really want to raise an entitled kid/choosing beggar? Because that's a good way to mold his behavior to expect to be compensated for work that he's not done when someone else achieves something, because that's exactly what's going on in this situation here. I really disagree with your choices in this one, and I think you're the asshole for doing this, and brushing off your child after the fact when they shared their honest feelings. So yes, you're the asshole. Now in the comments, Not Plop says, you're the asshole. I'm sorry, but graduating college is way harder than being 9 and handling the older kids going through college. The 9-year-old should be able to understand why the 2 older ones are getting gifts. I could potentially understand getting the younger one something small as a thank you, but you spent more money on the 9-year-old and gave the gifts to him during the other's graduation party? That time was for them, and you've used it to spoil your youngest. You should have given the youngest his gifts at a separate time, if getting him gifts at all. My grandparents used to do that with my brother on my birthday. My mum tried it with my nieces, and my brother and sister-in-law shut it down. They know they don't get gifts just because someone else does. You're the asshole. I remember being 2 years older than my siblings, and at my party and each other's party, they would get presents. But at their parties, I got nothing. I also got a birthday skipped altogether. It made me feel guilty for wanting something when I was supposed to be older and somehow more mature, even though I was a kid at the time and didn't really understand the age difference. You're the asshole. You totally minimized the accomplishments of the children who actually graduated. Plus, you're turning your youngest into an entitled asshole. Do you give the older children gifts on the youngest's birthday? Or is it just the little snowflake that you think needs to be the bride at every wedding and the corpse at every funeral? Damn, that is metal. I just googled the cost of a Nintendo Switch. My god, you write about them as though they're equivalent to a $100 Visa gift card. They're not. They aren't anything near it. A new Switch retails at $450 Australian, that's about $330 USD. That's why you're the asshole, because you have bought both your older kids a great gift for graduating, and that's fine, but to keep your younger kid placated, you've bought him a far more lavish gift just for being there. I think Jonabella has a point, and you need to see it through her eyes. You got her a gift for her achievement, and at the same time you bought the cute kid a bigger and better gift just for existing. Apologizing to her doesn't mean admitting that you have a favorite or not. Apologizing to her means accepting that her point of view is reasonable and valid and doing better in the future. I have no issue with getting the 9-year-old kid a "we haven't forgotten you" gift, but it shouldn't be equivalent to the graduation gift marking a major achievement in someone's life. There's nothing wrong with getting him something cool like a football top or a book. It should not have been the same gift as the other two, and it definitely should not have had an extremely lavish cherry on top. And don't forget the couple of games. Those are $60 each. And our next post is by user iSamanthaStone, titled, "Am I the asshole for not taking my niece back to work at my daycare center after this?" So I, female 36, have been running a small daycare center in the city that I live in with big demands for childcare. My brother lives in the same city and was complaining about my niece, 20, not finding a job to afford rent. He asked if she could come work at my daycare since she has experience with kids. So I agreed to give and receive help since I needed to hire an additional employee. The first couple of weeks were fine. But days later, she came to me asking for money to buy something that wasn't urgent, but I told her that just like any other employee, she needed to wait till she receives her salary since it wasn't urgent. She tried to convince me to give her money, but I let her know that work is work and she's not my niece while working, so she had to wait. Days ago, something strange happened. We have a kid, 6 years old, who has an iPad that he brings with him every time. When the dad, my client, came to pick his son up, he noticed the iPad was gone. We looked for it everywhere, I asked my employees, and no one saw it. I found out my niece was responsible for the kid's care that day, and after I asked her, she said she left it charging, then saw one of my employees take it. My employee swore that she didn't touch it, and said she saw my niece take it off the charger. The whole argument was she said versus she said. I checked the cameras and saw my niece hide the iPad behind the dumpster near the door. And that was it for me. I lashed out at her and said she's not working for me anymore. She cried and begged for me to give her a chance since she has no choice and did this to get money that she needed for rent. I refused to argue with her. You can only imagine how small I felt when giving the dad the iPad back. It's a shame because my client is a good man and we both had conversations and meeting outside work. My brother came to talk and said me kicking my niece out over some client was a huge overreaction on my part, and that everyone deserves a second chance since my sister has shown how committed she is in other areas at the daycare. I argued that my reputation is all that matters, and if anyone knew about this, I'm screwed. I honestly can't take this risk and rehire her. Besides the fact she falsely accused one of my employees of stealing the iPad when it was her who did it. Then I explained how this made my client feel, which is awful. My brother called me unbelievable for choosing a client's feelings over my relationship with my niece, and said I overreacted since my niece apologized and the iPad was returned. He got other family members involved, saying while my niece made a mistake, she's worthy of a second chance. Not the asshole for this one. She doesn't get special family privilege just because she's related to you. That doesn't fly. You absolutely could get in so much trouble for this. And even more so, should you rehire her? That is the worst decision that you could ever make in this situation. Stand your ground and don't bring her back. Not the asshole. Now in the comments, Privacy is Hard says, not the asshole. Never take back a thief. And to add, if your brother feels so strongly about his little thieving princess, he can finance her until she finds her next victim. Do you realize that the father could have called the police? How do you think other parents would feel knowing you're employing a thief? Hell no. Then her dad can pull some strings and have her hired at his workplace. Win-win for both of them. Not the asshole. Not only was she a thief, she was happy to risk your other employee's reputation and livelihood by saying it was her who had taken the iPad. As for your family who was against you, how about they hire her to work in their homes and then see how they feel when their petty cash and electronics start disappearing? That's the thing. Even if OP wanted to take her back, she alienated the rest of the staff by falsely accusing them of stealing. It won't be a good workplace for niece there, since the other people will hate her. Definitely not the asshole. Hell no, you should not rehire her. Someone who's willing to steal from kids is not a good person. She's hurting your daycare's reputation and business, much less the reputation of your employees. If you rehire her, more damage will be done. Anyway guys, I think that's where I'm going to end today's video. If you did like it, tell me what you thought about it down in the comments below, and make sure to just interact with everyone in this community. I love each and every one of you that I get to see on a daily basis. And don't forget, if you are a Patreon subscriber, I love you. You're on the screen right now with the YouTube members as well. If you see yourself, give yourself a pat in the back. You guys help me continue this YouTube journey. You keep me going. I see you guys everywhere. I see your messages, and thank you so much for supporting me. I really love every single one of you. But with that all said, I'm going to be signing off now, guys. I hope you have a good day, night, sleep, whatever you're up to, and I'll see you in the next episode. Bye.